again, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Odyssey House Journals. I'm Randall Carlisle, along with my co-host, Rachel Santiso. Hello. I was going to say good morning, but we know that people watch these at all hours of the day or night.
Right. Absolutely. So good, whatever it is for you.
Yes, good day, good night, good whatever. This is one of the most watched podcasts about addiction and recovery, and we're available. You can watch us on YouTube, just Google Odyssey House Journals, or listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeart. We're available everywhere, and we have people actually all over the world listening and watching us. So that's why you look so good today, Rachel, because you know, Igor in Russia, who has the hots for you, is watching right now. So say hi to Igor.
Hi, Igor. I'm definitely Team Igor, and I miss hearing about him. It's been a while since we've done a podcast. 2 weeks has been too long. So
yeah, it has. I've got. We always try to start out with the news story. I wish we had some kind of news tone, like saying, "And now the news." There you go. This is from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Overdose deaths linked to synthetic benzodiazepines rose more than sixfold between 2019 and 2020. Underground labs are making new synthetic versions of prescription benzos, things like Valium, Xanax, and Ativan. And overdose deaths involving prescription benzos increased as well. But the warning here was the fact that if you buy what somebody says is Xanax on the street, you have no idea what's in it, right?
Right, absolutely. And I remember I've heard a lot about when people do take, even if it's not the synthetic type, that when you take the benzos that you completely black out. You're operating, but you have no clue what you did the day before while you were on it. So then you add the synthetic type, so you don't even know what's in addition to that. Oh, that's definitely a scary concoction right there. So I'm not surprised by that.
And if you combine benzos with something like alcohol or something, it can be deadly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Ooh, it's definitely a scary thought.
You said blackouts, and that reminded me of, I'm a recovering alcoholic and you're a recovering addict. And I don't know if you have blackouts when you're doing the drug you're doing, but I had blackouts all the time when I was drinking too much.
Oh yeah, I would wake up, so I would nod out a lot, and I'd wake up often with just melted chocolate in places that I didn't even know where I was at, but I would oftentimes wake up with melted chocolate all over me.
Well, explain that.
I don't know. So my drug of choice was heroin, and so I would wake up and I would have melted chocolate. I like the sugar in the chocolate, and so it would just be melted all over in random areas. Because you think you can stay up. So my first reaction is, for some reason, like I would be on top of the world and I'd have energy and be energized, but then you eventually start nodding out from it, and I would be hungry. And so chocolate sugars were my go-to. So
gotcha. I'd never heard of somebody coming out of a blackout with melted chocolate, but
well, and let the truth be told, I still wake up today with melted chocolate in my bed, but I'm completely sober. So
if people watching don't understand addiction or blackouts, you see the picture behind me on the wall?
Yes.
Okay, that's sort of like your brain when it's blacked out.
Color.
Hey, we have an exciting guest today, a guest who proves that no matter how dismal your past might be, recovery is possible. David Mariscal, if you'd like to sign in, David. There we go. How are you, David?
Good. How about you guys?
Hi.
And the reason that David has such a colorful wall behind him is you're at a tattoo parlor, right?
Yes, I am. I'm at work right now. Work.
So, and Rachel's no stranger to tattoos. Show us your arm. Yeah, see?
Very much so. Huge fan.
I think. Well, we're glad you joined us. And David was introduced to us by another person in recovery who went through Odyssey House. And David, maybe you could just tell us a little about your past. I said I said recovery is possible no matter how dismal your past is, and you do have a fairly dark past. If you could just sort of summarize it for us.
Yeah, I grew up in Southeast LA in California. My past is a lot of gang violence with it, along with it, and a lot of drug use as well. And I went through all that in 2000, no, in 1993, I went to prison for almost related things about drugs, and I spent 26 years in prison, and I just barely got out 2 years ago.
Wow, that's a long time in prison. Did you get anything out of prison in a positive way?
That I could do it, that I could really get myself out of the gutter and continue moving on forward from, it doesn't matter what dark area you're in or your past. The past is more of a teacher of what's coming up in front of you. And I've learned that from all those mistakes that I've done, I learned from them as well. And along the way, I've grown to be who I am now.
Where were you in prison? Was it in California? Were you here?
No, I was incarcerated in Nevada.
Okay.
Yeah, I was incarcerated in Nevada because like I said, with drug use and everything, what I was doing, it led me to that path out there in Nevada and back again into the same BS that and it got me caught up.
Well, that's interesting. So you've served a long time, right? And generally speaking, the story that we hear is that once you're incarcerated, it keeps the cycle going.
It does.
Especially when you're in a gang, right? And the drugs and the violence. So how did you get out of that cycle?
It's crazy because I used a lot when I was in prison. I was using heroin, and it went on for a long time. So right after, I want to say, like, when I was like, it's crazy, when I was 33, it just hit me. It hit me that what was I doing to myself and to my loved ones as well? Because I was dragging them. I had drug them through the mud through all my childhood and my adult life. I drug everybody, and it's hurtful, and it's something that I don't know what it was. It was just a little light switch and I was in the hole, as a matter of fact, in prison, and I was looking out the window, watching somebody go get escorted to the little yard wreck that we had, and it's just the reason I was on the door. It was for malicious reasons, because I was waiting for the door to open, see if I could go out there on the tier and hurt this person. It was just that. Then it just hit me. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I being like a predator to another human? And I started really thinking about everything that I've done through my whole stay in prison and on the street as well, and what it created. It created a person that I don't want to be that person any longer. And that made that little switch on me as well, that I didn't want to be that person. And I started slowly really like letting go of everything, just a piece at a time. And so I got, I don't know, it was a miracle, whatever it was that you want to call it, that when my number came up to go, because I had life without parole. So my whole means of life, I didn't care about it. That was the whole reason. But at that time, my case was getting overlooked, and everything got overturned, and it was so slow, but it was so a little grind where I was losing hope. I was losing hope with everybody. I was losing hope with the justice system. I was losing hope with with everybody that was around me, because of the reason that it was taking so long. And but once that, like that one instant when I was in the hole looking out the window, it hit me. I'm like, what am I doing? I could have that little chance to be out there, not worried about the next person or the next hit, the next high, whatever it was that I was doing. I'm not. I don't want to be that person any longer. So, like I said, it was doing pieces by pieces. I would stop acting a certain way. I would stop investing in myself more in with education and other things that made me get me occupied on certain things, you know. And it helped me. It did help me, and it made me the person that I am today. And I'm still continuing doing things that to help myself and others as well, and try to guide them as well, you know. And this one thing that I've learned, and there was a certain person that told me this, that he told me knowledge is not to be kept, it's to be shared. But when he told me that, it hit me as well, where I need to do that, where I need to give out more than what I have, and share certain things that I know, and guide them in certain ways. So it was one of those things that it was helpful for me as well, you know.
We so many people. Yeah, I facilitate a family support group, and they have loved ones who are in the situation you were in, and they want to know, and I guess we do too, working at an Odyssey house, is how do you flip that light switch? I mean, what happened? I mean, because you describe it as switching just an on-off switch, and what was it that did that?
I honestly, I do not know. It was something that I don't know. I can't really put it in words. It was just something that, like people say, I seen the light. I did see it. I did see it in that, and you know how they say their life flashes before your eyes went, but that's when death is going, and that was certainly heading towards that. And it switched. It just switched. It was something that I had to replay my whole life, what I could remember, because most of the times I can't remember because of certain things, because of drugs, you know. Because there's certain things that I don't remember, and when I'm talking to my sibling, they'll remind me of certain things that I'm like, what are you talking about? And they'll say they'll reenact it from, not reenact it, but state it from word to word and what happened. And just little things that I do remember, not the whole situation, but I'll remember certain things. I'm like, oh, it did happen. So it's something that like, back to what you asked me, what was that little light switch? I can't put it in words. It's just, I don't know. It just happened. It just happened. It was something that I seen the light. That's all I could explain it.
Boy, if we could market that and had that light switch available at a place like Odyssey, or if we owned the rights to that light switch, we could make billions of dollars around the world.
Exactly. But it's more of, you have to really reach inside your being, where into your heart as well, and just really touch it and see what is it that you're missing, what is it that brought you to where you're at. Because where I was at, I wasn't happy. I wasn't satisfied with what I was doing. I wasn't, and everybody reaches out for certain things, certain addictions, to reach for that happiness, but it's not happiness. It just leads you deeper into sadness. And I just wanted to switch that around. I didn't want to be sad no more. So I went ahead and just, like I said, it was little by little I started putting things away, you know, because it's still there. I know that, and I still fight it. We all do, you know, but it's a certain things that you have to remind yourself that that's what you don't want. You don't want that sadness no more. And that's what everybody wants. If you ask certain people, most of them will say, yeah, money, but money doesn't resolve anything. But there's a majority of people will say that they want happiness. And that's the main thing about life, is just being happy for what you got, being happy with who you're around with, and what's going on around you. Because if you rage over small little things, you'll get stuck on that, and it's hard to, if you keep on moving it around, it's not gonna change. It'll be the same way. It's just like a stone on the floor. If you start moving it around, yeah, it'll change route, but it's still stone. It still remains the same thing. And that's what I wanted to change about myself. I wanted to push to be happy again, you know, as when I was a kid, growing up as a kid, you know, and that's what everybody wants.
David, so you're living this life, right? And it's all you know for a long time. So the gang, the violence, you know, all of that. And then you go to prison. So you have this life on top of it. And then you see the light. Gratefully, I think the light chose you. Is what it feels like to me, right? And clearly for a reason. And so, but then there's the barriers when you leave prison, right? You got the felony charges, gaps of employment, how do you find housing, all the things. So I would love the world to hear, like, what did you do at that point? So now you have a whole new set of barriers. So when you leave prison, what did you do? How are you maintaining? Now you're in Utah, employed, like, what did you do and how are you maintaining that sobriety?
I was blessed because of my family, you know. I had choices to either go back to California, stay in Nevada, or come out here to Utah, because my sister lives out here. And for my sake and for my own happiness, I chose Utah. And it's the best choice that I've done so far, you know, because it has shown me something that even the people out here, sometimes it might be cheaper or whatever you might call it. They're genuinely like giving, you know. They're more, I don't know. It's just different from what I'm used to. That's what I want to say on that about me moving out here, you know.
So you move out here, and how do you, I guess what Rachel, how did you overcome the obstacle? I mean, you've got a horrible, if anybody does a background check on you, it's like, no. We're not going to hire this guy. We're not going to let him live here. How did you work through all those barriers that people who have a criminal background have to work through?
Yeah, there's people out there that will hire you and everything, but there's also people that would take advantage of you because of your situation. And that's what happened to me as well when I got out, where I was working as a framer, and the individual that gave me that chance to work for him, he was underpaying me. He was paying me $12 an hour, which is something I was grateful that I had a job, and I stuck around him for 10 months. But like I said, I wasn't happy. So my happiness, which I knew what it was tattooing. So I went ahead and pursued it. And I went out to shops and everything. And I was blessed that I ran into the shop owner that I'm working for, which is Steve Webster. He's the one that opened the doors and let me in, because I sat down with them and I was truthful, and I told them about my background and what was my whole situation. But I showed them that I could do this, where I could tattoo, and I knew the whole concept of art as well. So he gave me that chance, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for that man, you know, that he did that shot, you know.
the key, and I think this is what we tell our people who are leaving Odyssey House, is when you do go out looking for jobs and things like that, is honesty. I mean, you don't say, on the question, do you have a criminal background? You don't say no when you do, but so that made a difference for you too.
Yeah, it's more if like in that question, if you put, if like being honest, saying that I would rather talk to you in person about this situation, then you'll see they'll give you that little chance. If they give you that chance to speak to them face to face, then that's one chance. And it'll probably open other chances for you to get hired as well. And it is just, it's funny because what you say that, because there's a lot of people, when I was in prison and I used to, be in the different programs in there and everything, I was programming, and I would hear other people that been in and out of the system. And that was one thing that they always used to fall back onto, that, oh, they wouldn't hire me. Oh, it was their fault. But they never looked at the reason that it was their own fault as well, because they fell back to their own drug habits, whatever habits that they had, they fell back to them. And that's where a lot of us, that's where we mess up at. If we go back to things that are comfortable, and if we have to make ourselves uncomfortable, like right now, I'm uncomfortable talking to you guys.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
All right. But I am comfortable, I'm sweating. Sweating. You can't see it, but I'm sweating.
Speaking about that, David, how are you? Because it's about maintaining your sobriety, and we have to work on it every day. What are you doing to try every day to ensure that you don't go back to that life?
I hate to say it this way, but I'm a workaholic now. Instead of that's what I am.
Yeah.
I try to focus more on the craft that I do, because that's me happy, and I'm gonna continue on it and grow on it. And like I said, that knowledge, I want to give that knowledge to other upcoming artists as well, because we got each other to focus on this certain craft, because it is a craft. Not everybody could do it. It's a hard thing, it's a very hard thing, but sharing those little things that we do know with each other, it's a great thing, it makes me happy.
It's finding your purpose, right? Your purpose before was trying to get ahead and hurt people and all these things, but now you want to put meaning and purpose on people's bodies. Like, I know why I have tattoos and what they mean for me, and I wouldn't let, you're absolutely right, I wouldn't let just anybody tattoo me. And so you found your purpose, and it makes you feel like the person you're always meant to be, and so you have a purpose in life.
It's almost being like a therapist as well, like,
because the stories,
it's being like a therapist. It's because, as you know, you got tattoos, and you, the artist, whoever did your tattoos, you got stories in between you guys, and it's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy doing all that. When before I was real antisocial, didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't really want to be around nobody. But now it's just different. I want to be out there. I want to talk to people. I want to tattoo people. I want to talk to them. I want to hear about them. And when they ask me about me, where I learned how to do this craft, I do tell them. I tell them I learned in prison. I honed it more in prison than anything else. And out here, I'm developing it a little bit more. And they always ask me when I say that I went through prison, they'll ask me how long I've been there. And then when I tell them, they look at me like if I'm lying to them, because I don't look my age or something. I don't know. There's some they say that I look 30, 32, 34, but I'm actually 46, and it's crazy when I tell them my age, and they're like, "What? I thought you were a little bit old. I mean, a little bit younger." Then because it's I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think it's the happiness that's keeping me younger. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
Rachel, show us, bring your tattoo closer to the camera lens.
so my recent one,
Yeah, whatever.
I'll do this one just because my grandson, his name is Atlas. And he's half Korean, so I have like the Korean flag and then the mountains. So all of the work that I have several tattoos, but this has been since I've been sober. And so I wear it on my sleeve and I just keep adding as things keep coming in my life. And my tattoo artist is in recovery. And so we've just shared it throughout the years, like everything that comes up. And so you're right, the therapy, and you are absolutely right.
My point of asking you was, I wanted people to see how intricate the tattoos can be.
Oh yeah.
You know, and David described that as a craft, and really artwork, you know, heavy duty artwork.
Oh, and elephants. I love elephants.
Wow. So David, if you had been the one to put those tattoos on her arm, how would you feel seeing her show it off? And I'm sure you have people who do.
Yeah, I would be. I'm proud who when they show off my work, I would have been proud as her. I should be proud of her artist too, you know, because it's.
I call you.
But we have a chance to, since you're willing to go through the sweat and bearing your soul for people, put in a plug for where you're working and how people can get a hold of you.
I work at out of Salt Lake in Marauder Tattoo. It's off of 4700 South and 900 East.
Okay. All right. And they can ask for you, and you can do artwork.
We both work here, so.
Yeah,
And why is it because of what you? I'm curious. Like one of the people that you work with is an Odyssey graduate. We'll say his name, Wendell. I mean, he's a wonderful example of what people have learned in Odyssey. And why is it that you got? How did you guys get hooked up?
It's crazy how things are, because it was through another person that we're tattooing. Both of us were tattooing, and he was looking for a shop to work at, but he didn't take up the opportunity because of, I guess he was working at Odyssey House,
Right.
And I guess he finished up his contract there and everything, so he wanted to come back to the craft where he loves doing as well, you know. And he came through with some other artists, and it was crazy because it was spoken about beforehand, but he didn't take up that one time. He didn't take it up for other reasons, but when he took it up, I was glad. I was glad, and we started talking, and we spoke about our past. We spoke about, you know, what we're heading on our own journeys and everything. And out of conversation, this came up where, well, my idea was to speak my knowledge as well, you know, and help out other people the best I could. And hooked me up with you guys. He told me go ahead and reach out to these people, and that's a path I'm willing to take as well, you know. And it's just like certain paths that people take up. It's a choice that we do have, but it's a beautiful choice if you go and pursue it, you know. If it's for the correct reasons, you know, not for not any reasons. And it's crazy too, because there's this one thing too that I've learned. There's two reasons that you run into people. It's either to build a relationship or to learn something from them. So those two purposes that we run into people, but we have to really listen to them to see what they have for you or for anybody else. It might not be for you, that little thing that they're teaching you. It might be for somebody else. And it's just like when Dale and myself, when we ran into our paths came together, and this is happening now. It's something where it's growing, and I'm hoping it grows a lot further, you know.
We are out of time, and you have, yeah, you make me think an awful lot, because you had a pretty bad background, and then you have a light switch go on in prison, and now you just happen to have this chance meeting at a tattoo parlor, and it sounds like your life is right on track. So, I really appreciate you sharing your life with us. Rachel, a final thought?
Yeah, well, when I just have a quick question, did you ever wake up with melted chocolate on you? I mean, you can be honest.
No, but to be honest, when I was on it, I did.
Things like that, just okay. And then you're in good hands. Like, I'm so incredibly proud of you. I don't have to know your entire story. I'm incredibly proud of you, and you are in such good hands, and you are like just full of light. And I'm so happy you found your purpose. You're where you're supposed to be, my friend. And Wendell's one of the best people I know. So I'm just incredibly proud of you.
And the important thing about this podcast and what you have just shared is that hopefully other people in a similar situation will see this and say, well, if he can do it, I can too.
That's for sure. That's
So,
for sure. We could all could do it. It is within us. It is within us. It's just put it for my last thoughts too, is when everybody learns how to walk, when you're a kid, you don't stay crawling. You get up and do it again. Even though that fall hurts, you still get up and keep doing it, and you'll end up running afterwards. And that's the way it is.
That's good advice. Thank you for sharing your life with us, and good luck. It's Marauders Tattoos, right?
Water tattoos, yeah.
All right, there's the second plug. Thanks, David. Thank you, Rachel, and thank you for watching another edition of Odyssey House Journals.